All right, we got a Ram front door. We're gonna be doing the front door in 20%, but I wanna talk about this cutter. It's called the Snitty. It's a safety cutter with a replaceable blade, very high quality, stainless steel, so it's not gonna rust. And we're gonna be cutting this out with a Sharpie and that cutter right there. So I'm not incredibly familiar with using Sharpie, but I've come to learn that they're really awesome and they can potentially save your door panel from a lot of damage. And we're gonna make this a lot simpler to cut out. So normally I would have my bottom edge lined up right there. I'm gonna make my first cut and then we're gonna have a lot of steps after that. In this case, we're gonna already line our factory edge down where we would tuck it. So a little bit below the bottom edge. We're going to spray the tint, lock it in place, and then we're not going to shift it anymore. We're just going to leave it right there. Trim away some excess. Then we're going to grab our Sharpie. The nice thing is that you can actually draw on wet window tint with a Sharpie. So whatever your marker of choice is, draw straight down, and you're just marking the same spot you would normally cut. And you'll see in a little bit, that's where we're going to start our cut. Draw on the side there, cool. Now we're gonna roll down the top edge because we've essentially made our cuts. And now we just need to cut out the top edge once we turn this truck back on. Get that top edge exposed, grab your top edge knife, poke that into the top. These blades make cutting the top edge so much easier. Nice clean cut, sweet. Now normally what I used to think is that you could only use a Sharpie if you had another cut surface, so I'd go over here and I'd make those cuts. But I understand, and I've been in this situation where I've been mobile. You don't get glass boards when you're mobile. So how do you use Sharpies? You use this guy. So what we're gonna do is this cutter is going to make our cut right outside that line. Just go straight up. Boom, there's one. So this cutter is basically 1/4 of an inch wide. And so that blade sits right in the middle. So if you line this cutter up with the edge of that Sharpie mark, and you just go right outside that Sharpie, you can cut right on the truck, get exactly the width that you need without hardly any fuss at all. So now the only cuts that we have to make are gonna be our corner cuts. So there are a couple of tricks to not having to cut these on the glass if you don't have a board. I've done this in the past. You can take a card, a different surface, and make those cuts on. For this demo, we're just gonna show, you can actually make these right on the glass. Stainless steel blades, nice and sharp. You're making little cuts. Just go soft with your blade. And you shouldn't have any type of an issue with that. So what I would be concerned about is big, long, straight edge cuts, which I will typically do obviously with a knife and the seals. So that way it's safe and you're not gonna see any type of a cut. But if you wanna, obviously we are removing the blade from this. So if you're especially new to tinting, you're nervous to cutting on the car, well, I hope you enjoyed this because we just made it way simpler with the use of that tool, less steps. I tried this at my last class, introduced every student to it, and everybody was cutting patterns a lot quicker than, where you cut it, shift it over, all that jazz. So this is all set now to shrink and then install. So, while we have a little more time, let's just go ahead and do that. But let me know if you have any questions. That method can be used on any door window, any type of cut, for like your sides. I've done it on the rounded trucks. I've done it on quite a few other things. So it's pretty universal because you're essentially replacing your blade, your cutting knife, with the safety cutter, and you're marking your edges with a Sharpie. So I haven't cleaned the inside of this yet. I still gotta mask it off, so let's get that done. Get our door panel covered. Voila. And so when we're cleaning this, we'll just go back to what I usually do. I like to scrape the whole window or use a scrubby pad. If I want to be more thorough, that's where I typically will use a razor blade. And then we're gonna roll this straight up. Take care of this bottom edge. Beautiful. Now we're ready to squeegee it and install it. Oh yeah, let me wipe off this top edge. Laminated top edge, so what that means, 2 pieces of sandwich glass together, often holds a lot of dirt. So wipe it a couple times and really try and get that grime, especially out of the corners, until that lightens up. Squeegee top to bottom. Overlapping strokes here. Tri-edge. That's what I'm looking for. 1, 2. Spritz the sides. I'll generally clean it twice, but as long as you're thorough, once is gonna be good too. Just doesn't hurt to be extra thorough. So let's peel this pattern. Go about halfway down on this side, halfway to a little bit more on the other side. Just give yourself a good amount of film to put on the glass. Take this. Start with your long edge first. Line that up to the top and tuck this side in first. This is just hanging off, the right side is. And then we're gonna tuck this left side in first. A little bit of stickage. Wiggle it up and down. It'll get to loosen up. Then we'll slide this up in here. Then just wiggle it back and forth until you get that top edge as close as you can without it peeling off of the window. Looking good. Then as we squeegee it, we're gonna fine tune it because it's still gonna wiggle a little bit. But as you squeegee it out, it'll start grabbing. It'll usually have a little bit of slide to it. Then you can fine tune it, get it right up close. Lock those corners in place. And really all I'm concerned about is the very top. Because once that grabs and locks in place, everything else is gonna fall exactly where it needs to go. Beautiful. Roll up the window. Give it a little bottom rinse. Peel our liner. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Take that out. And then we're gonna peel back one corner here. Drop the tint in there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Same thing for here. Corner goes in, and then that causes this to lift right above the seal, and then we can continue this shuffle and knock all this down into the seal. Perfect. So, covered all my gaps. Easy time cutting out the pattern. Everything still goes exactly how I needed it to go without too much fuss. I think like my goal for this year has honestly been trying to simplify these processes a lot, because there's the ways that I've been doing them forever, but there's so many little steps that it can be frustrating to learn all the little steps. So the more that we can kind of like think outside the box with some of these tools and processes, like for installing, we just did all those steps, but honestly, the easier way to explain is just pull the bottom seal and bottom load it. But anyways, get all that wiped down, pull the tapes. Pulls right out. Then we're gonna check it on the outside, see if there's anything that we have to touch up, or if we just did a bad job. No, looking good. Woo! Put the mirror back, and then that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this. I think the Snitty and Sharpie combo here is really freaking cool. So these are on 313tint.com now, but this cutter in particular, this blade pops right out. You can switch it around. So you pull it out of the holder, you can flip it, and then you can rotate it. So you can actually get 4 uses out of that blade, like 4 different spots to cut. And these, because you're just shearing window tint and they're stainless steel, they're gonna last for a long time as well. So I don't know exactly how long, but somewhere in the line of like at least a month out of a spot on there, you should be fine. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.